So do you find yourself multitasking all the time but not getting anything done? Well, what if I told you that multitasking is probably one of the worst things to do in terms of productivity? Hello everyone, I'm Jonathan Aquino and I help the next generation. So multitasking is a concept that everyone likes because in theory, it's pretty good. You know, you do all of the tasks that you want to do at the same time. But in actuality, that's just not how it works. So we're going to go over why it doesn't work and what you should be doing instead. So personally, I feel that multitasking is something that I wish worked because I know there are still times I still do it, but I know that multitasking itself just doesn't work. After trying and researching, it's just not possible to multitask in the manner you're thinking of, where let's say you're doing an essay, you're doing two different essays at the same time. You can't do both. It's not possible. But there is a different way you can, which I'll get into it much later. But I kind of want to go over why multitasking just doesn't work first. So what multitasking actually does is, in the basic term, it divides your attention. So if you have two different tasks and you want to focus on both, it's not like a 50-50. Your brain will focus on one 100%. And then if you want to do the other one, you have to switch your focus, right? But it doesn't happen immediately. It happens over time. So you'll be focusing on one task, then you're going to start switching to the next task, and your brain is going to be playing catch up with 15, 20, 30 minutes of time that it takes to go from one task to the next task, focusing successfully. So you might see the problem if you're going to keep switching back and forth. It won't work, unfortunately. And your brain will be behind the whole time. You will not get work done. And even if you do finish, the quality of work will be much less because you keep constantly switching your mind on what you want to do. So that's probably the biggest thing going against multitasking is, while technically you are getting things done, technically speaking, you're working on two different things, getting ahead. What's actually happening is you're not getting the best work done on either thing. So even though you're getting work done, it's subpar work. And to go even further with this, there's a lot of negative impacts that come from this. So the biggest ones would be, lack of focus, subpar work, frequent errors. There's a lot of things that will happen if you multitask, and you may not notice them because you're in deep work mode, but other people will notice it in your work and you're going, why did you type that? Or why did you write this? It won't be clear to you because you're seeing your best effort, but that's just not how it works with multitasking, unfortunately. In addition to this, another issue that we can come up is cognitive overload, where you have so much information coming at you, so much work coming into your head that you just don't retain any of the information. So if you're like cram studying, for example, on two different tests and on the same day, when you wake up, you're not gonna remember anything, unfortunately. And it's not because you didn't try, you crammed, you were studying for hours the day before. But because you're doing both of them around the same time, constantly switching, you will remember nothing. And I would know. I tried and failed miserably when I was in high school. I don't do that anymore. I'm not in college. I don't really care. But if I were to study now, I would do it over time, one subject at a time. So I would do like math in the morning and then biology in the afternoon. So that way they're separate and I can focus on one at a time over time. And that's how you will more than definitely pass your exams. Now, when it comes to overcoming or removing this multitasking habit, the simplest, easiest manner that you can do this on is simply by single tasking. Just do single tasking. Prioritize your tasks and do them one at a time. You'll find you may feel you're going slower, but when I tell you that single tasking is superior to multitasking, it's by a lot. All your focus is into it, all your effort is into it, so all of your progress on it is fantastic, the work on it is fantastic. Like, there's so many things that can happen that get done when you single task. But single tasking alone isn't enough, which is why you should include time blocking, prioritization specifically, maybe using the Ivy League method. And when it comes to time blocking specifically, you could time block for a couple hours on one task, have a bit of a buffer, and then start the next task immediately after. So you have technical multitasking, but it's that. The other multitasking that I referenced earlier though was it's very loose in my definition. So there are things that we all do that we do once and we leave it for like an hour or so. The easiest example is laundry. So if you have, let's say, an essay to get done, but you also have to get laundry done, why not, as you're doing your work, put the laundry in the washer or dryer or whatever it is and work? A technical way of doing multitasking, you're doing laundry and you're doing work. So if you can find ways to kind of combine multiple things like that, where you don't have to be consciously thinking about it, but something is getting done, and that's probably the best way of multitasking. Otherwise, I would kind of just steer clear of it personally. So in the end, when you stop multitasking and start single tasking, you're going to find your productivity, time management, all of those aspects improved, because you're not diverting your focus onto different things and lowering your overall quality of work. You're focusing on one thing, and that one thing's quality is going to be fantastic. So if you found this insights helpful, you definitely want to check out my video on how to stay hyper focused in a distracting world. That video goes very much in depth on how to also improve your focus, that you need to do single tasking, because single tasking is hard. So you want to make sure you improve your focus, especially in how distracting this world is. And if you want to learn more about being free for time management and such, click the link down below in the description.